Welcome to the What I Wish I Knew After Pregnancy Loss podcast. I am your host, Shana Southern. I am an angel mum, a rainbow mum, a pregnancy loss practitioner, and trauma-informed coach. I created the Institute of Healing Through Pregnancy Loss out of my own experience with loss in the hopes to provide understanding and healing, educating people on pregnancy loss, and creating more women or men in trained support roles. In this podcast, I hope to shed light on what I wish I knew in relation to pregnancy loss, opening up the conversation, breaking the stigma, and bringing real-life stories plus guest experts. Thank you for being here with me today, and let's dive into today's episode. Welcome to the podcast, the intersection of pregnancy loss, fertility, trauma, and purpose, having the conversations that should have been happening all along. Today, I have with me Irina Castellano. Sorry if I've said that wrong again.
All good, all good. I react to almost anything.
I think that's been my childhood experience too. You just answer to anything. You're just like, yeah, it sounds like my name. I'm assuming
There we
that's me.
go. I get Irene, Irina, so it's Irina Castellano, yeah.
Irina, yes.
Thank you for having me, Shana.
You're so welcome.
I got that word.
So Irina was babysitting at the age of 12. And at that age, you never think about fertility. You just assume to have kids later. She went on to foster kids first, adopt a child while overseas, and by the time she realized with hubby that fertility wasn't going as planned, they tried IVF, which resulted in a miscarriage. They went on to conceive through IVF, experience a stillborn, and in total, they have fostered over 90 kids in 25 years. By sharing their story, Irina hopes to inspire others to go down the route of fostering or even adoption, as many kids are hoping for a safe home all over the world. Thank you again for being here.
Thank you for having me, Shana.
You're so welcome. And we have been speaking a little bit prior. So do you want to first share your story? And there's a lot that has happened for you in that time. So do you want to share as much or as little, like I said, as you want?
Yeah, look, whatever you've said already, that's exactly it. I've always loved being around kids. I loved my babysitting time so much. I was babysitting every Friday, Saturday night. And then I used to actually even just right after school, I wanted to learn languages to go into aviation, and I became an au pair girl in France. Loved it so much that I stayed 2 years instead of one. So I've always been surrounded by kids, and I've always enjoyed their company. So for me, it was a no-brainer that one day I'll get married, I'll have kids, and yeah. And then until the age of 15, I actually then read a book that was about a foster kid, and that was the first thing I had ever heard about fostering. So I thought, okay, maybe one day I'll also foster, and who knows, maybe we can even adopt. So I hadn't found my prince, and it took me a while. So I was already beginning 30s when I finally met my husband. So it also didn't help that he then was in a business in the shipping industry, that he actually traveled 200 days a year. So one thing I did know from school is that you had to be in the same room for it to happen.
Yes.
So it wasn't helping. Okay, we were in spring chicken, he was traveling a lot, and then we were trying to fall pregnant. So any which way, I also first wanted to start with fostering because I had seen all these ads here in Australia, which I had never seen anywhere else. And I thought, oh, that's it. Yeah, I always wanted to do that. So I called my husband while he was again overseas, and I said, honey, I always wanted to foster, let's foster. And he was like, oh, okay, whatever makes you happy, whatever occupies you, because I wasn't allowed to work due to my spouse visa. So we started with fostering first. Then he got posted to Shanghai first, and then to Singapore. And in Singapore, I met a lady who told me that she was fostering there. So I thought, oh, okay, we can continue to foster. So we did. And then we heard about this little baby that needed a home and came up for adoption. So we adopted a Singaporean baby and continued fostering. So even before leaving for Singapore, we had tried a round of IVF here. Then we went to Singapore, continued with IVF, and eventually, as you said, fell pregnant, but I lost it pretty early. But to be honest, that didn't faze me. I was like, oh, great, my body knows how to actually get working, and this was like a jump start, and oh, next time it'll work. And next time it did work, and we had our son, so we have a biological son as well. And then we still had more eggs frozen, so eventually at some point then also we thawed them all, and all of them survived, which is already unusual because normally they say 50% will not survive. And all of them survived, and then they chose the best one to put back in. And that one actually then ended up having quite a few issues in terms of having syndromes. And it was such a severe syndrome that we actually, we did abort because the chances of it making it full term was very remote, was 80% chance of being a stillborn anyway. And also it was set in with the syndrome that the first year it would be in and out of hospital because of heart issues and so many other issues. So we thought of the other two kids that we had, and we thought we're in Singapore, our families are in Australia, in Germany, and we have two kids to still look after, and my husband traveling 200 days a year. So we thought even that first year, and then another 10% of these babies with this syndrome actually pass away within the first year. And also it was so severe that it could be that they never walk or talk. So for us then we decided to abort, and I must admit that I did say I wanted to see her and everything else, because I always still wondered, what if they made a mistake? What if it wasn't this syndrome and so on? But then when I did hold her, I could see from the ears and the feet that actually, yeah, that syndrome was correct. So for us, we then thought, okay, let's focus our energy on the two kids that we already have, and let's continue fostering and help those that need a safe place. So we did continue, and then when we came back here to Australia, we again got reauthorized to continue fostering, and we then were lucky enough to adopt another baby that couldn't be reunited with birth family. So we actually have 3 permanent kids. And even though we do a bit less of the fostering just because of our lifestyle now, and with 3 bigger kids, they're now 16, 19, and 21. So a few things have shifted in terms of our dynamics and lifestyle, and we do travel quite a bit more, but we do still foster kids. And if we can do 3-4 placements a year, then I'm happy with that. But I would like more people to come on board, and also for people to understand that adoption is not out of reach, because a lot of people think adoption is not possible here in Australia, and that is really not true. Even though states and territories have their own little rules, but there are many places where you can adopt, and it has become more streamlined.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. It's when you're going through, say, fertility challenges, reproductive loss, all of that, and then you think, okay, I really do want to become a mum. Like you really do. You have this. And I think there were thoughts that I had too, because after the miscarriage, I was like, what does this mean? And I think having that as an option sometimes can be the way that you can still have a family. It's not the way that you thought it was going to look. It's not the way that, and like for you, maybe it was a little bit different because you had this, like, you were drawn to it really early on. I think some people are thrust into it after loss and maybe have to get their head around, okay, maybe this is the option for us moving forward.
Yeah, I get that a lot. A lot of people think, oh, so you fostered because you couldn't get kids. And I was like, no, I actually knew about fostering, and I always just wanted to help kids, and thought if I can do this alongside, even better. And that's what we did.
Yeah.
We need to go into fostering thinking of it that if you foster a child and you help that child, and that child can actually be reunited with birth family, that's the way it should be. That's a success story. So I've been part of these journeys where the kids get reunited with birth family, if it is parents, if it is grandparents, but really for their identity, for their culture, that's where they belong and that's where they should be. So for me, I do consider that a success story, and I have never gone into fostering, and I don't think anybody should, even though a lot of people now go into fostering to create their permanent families. And if you're open to that, then yeah, chances are you can definitely, because there are unfortunately enough kids that cannot be reunited with birth family. But the aim of fostering is to be a temporary relief for birth families so that they can restructure and make the home safe, and then to be reunited with their family or at least extended family. So the aim of fostering is that, but a lot of children cannot. So if you stick around long enough and you say, hey, I'm open to helping as many kids as I can, but I'm also open to maybe have a permanent child placed with us, and then that increases the chances at some point that there will be a child that will not be able to be reunited. Or we have cases where, 2-3 kids have already been removed, and well, number 4 then ends up going straight into foster care as well. Sometimes they already know that kid will not be reunited with birth families. There are so many different scenarios, and if people are just open to it and say, hey, as long as we can help kids, we're here, and if it is permanent or if it is temporary, that's fine. That would be the ideal perspective to start from. And yeah, eventually there will be kids that need a permanent home.
Yeah, I wanted to just ask you quickly because I think it's something that just came up in my mind, and I don't know if other people will be feeling it too, but maybe they do, or it might just be me. So you obviously you knew that you wanted to go down the whole fostering and adoption path quite early on in your journey, and you said you wanted to do the IVF and sort of pregnancy path alongside it. Navigating the losses and the grief that you said the miscarriage wasn't too mentally or physically hard on you. With the termination, did you feel that was a little bit different?
Oh yeah, definitely. Because I was always envisioning myself having kids, and I don't want to diminish miscarriages. Gosh, they can be incredibly painful. Just going through IVF, and it takes a lot of the spark of lovemaking out of the bedroom
It
when you
does.
think of, yes, now, wow, now are the most fertile moments. Hey, these things. So just trying to fall pregnant and then doing pregnancy tests and seeing that it's negative, every single one is hard to cope with. So I'm not diminishing that at all. I just wanted to say that when I did fall pregnant, even if it was just for a few weeks, I was so grateful because I was like, okay, my body knows now what to do. It's like jump starting the car. That's the way I just looked at it, probably to just console myself for sure. But I was trying to look at it from, I've always been a positive person. I've always looked at things from a glass half full rather than half empty. So I was just trying to put a spin on it where I thought, okay, body knows now what to do. We'll get it right. And especially when you do IVF, you do get hormones and you have to balance it a bit. Like they have to know what is the right amount to actually get it right. And it takes time. And yes, research has now improved so much even since we did it. So there is so much that they can do, but just knowing that my body could fall pregnant was for me a huge relief. I think that's what I'm trying to say, that when it happened, yes, of course, we were devastated, but we hadn't told anybody yet. And it wasn't like everybody else was going to come with the questions, because, of course, it's even harder when, like, we told people with the second one that, hey, I'm pregnant and everything is looking hunky-dory. And we were already in the second month. And there was so much already with that and the excitement that, yeah, when that got taken away and we had to make this really tough decision, because here you've been trying to fall pregnant for so long, and then your doctor says, I don't think this is going to work out the way you were hoping. And then they did an amniocentesis and they said it could be this syndrome and this syndrome. And then you go onto Google and you try and find out all these syndromes and you're thinking, gosh, it's an absolute miracle to have a healthy child. And then each time, like with the tests that they did and the amniocentesis, which is also a huge risk for your unborn baby. So it was not something we took lightly. And when they then kept saying, oh, it's not this, let's do another amniocentesis, I'm thinking, gosh, I'm really playing with my baby's life already by just so many things can go wrong. And you do another amniocentesis. But I just wanted to be sure, because I thought, I'm not terminating this if you can't really pinpoint what it is. So we've wanted this for too long. Yeah, but I also trusted my doctor. He was very experienced and he just said, look, something is not right. And this is going to be a severe disability in the sense that really there's not much quality to life. If you can't walk, talk, and have constant health issues, which will automatically affect my husband's work. It will affect the children at home already. And we just, yeah, so I just want to highlight that I'm not diminishing the pain that goes with miscarriage, but for me, it was just really trying to find a positive spin to it, to then keep going and not to give up. I think that was the key thing with me with the first one. And then after the second time, we didn't have any more eggs, so we thought, okay, we'll just be super grateful to have 2 healthy kids in our family and to do the lifestyle that we do with traveling and everything else without needing oxygen bottles and everything else that would have come with this one. Yeah, that is the thing. And we really thought that was it. We thought 2 kids, and then we'll just continue fostering and provide a home for other kids. And then, yeah, we were just really having another scenario where a kid was supposed to stay with us for 3-4 months, and then she went into permanent care and we were able to adopt her. So yeah, now we had the 3 kids that we always dreamt of, but I was already very grateful after the first and then the second.
Yeah. Not everyone experiences miscarriage the same. So for me, it was a very traumatic experience, but for someone else, it can be that it's not that physically and emotionally taxing. And that's completely fine too. And that's the thing, like, we need to normalize the fact that it can be okay to just not be so torn up about going through a miscarriage as well.
Yeah, and some people are easy to do. They can talk about it without any issues, and for others, it's a subject that cannot be touched without tears flowing. And I think it's so important with the work that you do, because we need to be able to talk about it more. Because also, even as an employer, one minute you think your employee is pregnant, the next minute they've lost it. And then how does everybody tippy-toe around that person? And some people would love some time off to really grieve with hubby, and others just want to go back into work and want to just be distracted. So we all deal with it differently. And the more we talk about it, the better it is. Because I still remember one time standing at the playground with a lady who had 4 kids running around, and then when she asked me if I wanted to fall pregnant, I said, oh yeah, it's not working. She said, oh yeah, I know what you mean. And I'm looking at her thinking, you've got 4 kids running around.
Do you?
She said, oh yeah. No, but she said it was a long journey for us. We had 5 miscarriages along the way. So it's also sometimes, unless you talk about it, you don't even know who's been through it. Miscarriages are so common. Common. But a lot of people in the past have not talked about it. And now if we are more open about it, and only if we share our story, then somebody else might also say, yeah, actually, I do know what you mean, even though to the outside world, it doesn't look like it.
And that's the thing, like, when I started talking about my story, I had friends in my circle coming to me and going, that's been my experience too. Never once spoke about it. Even my grandma never once mentioned that she had experienced losses in between all of her 7 kids. And it wasn't until my miscarriage that she opened up. And my mum was 60, I think, at the time, and my mum had never heard the story. So it does take sometimes people to have the conversation to go, okay, now we can. It is a safe place. They do understand. I'm not going to get dismissed. I'm not going to get the platitudes of, oh, at least this, at least it happened early, or at least it is important to have these conversations and just be able to validate anyone's experience through that, because everyone is going to be different. And just because you maybe, like for myself, had a really traumatic experience, I can't expect other people to be that way either. So to have these conversations where it happens so differently for others, and also for someone listening in to go, okay, I feel like I resonate with that person and that story and that experience, and potentially how they navigated it will work for someone else.
Even to change the way we respond to it. I know that a lot of people who haven't experienced miscarriage, or who don't maybe even have a desire to have kids, then they have a work colleague where it's really, yeah, a traumatic experience and the person is struggling. But even those who are not, it's so important how we react. And if we don't know what to say, just say that. Just say, hey, I can't pretend that I know how you're feeling, and I'm really a bit speechless. I don't know what to say, but I just want you to know I'm here. if you want to talk, if you want to share, please, I'm here. But yeah, guide me a bit on what you need. If we can cook a meal for somebody, or if we can help somebody and taking them out, taking them to the movies, so whatever we can do to make it easier for them, that's great. But we don't need to have all the answers, but just the willingness to say, hey, tell me what you need, because I'm really lost here.
Yeah, and I think that's the vulnerability, that isn't it, like to say I just don't know. And I think we, as humans, we try to always figure out the answer. We always try to figure out, like, oh, okay, what do I need to do next? What does this person need? Have the answers. And to say I don't know is, and let that be the answer, is okay. And be guided, like you said, by the other person, because sometimes it might just be that they want to sit in silence. They don't want to talk. Or sometimes it might be that they want to binge TV like the whole day, and that's okay. Or they might need their washing done. Have they been able to do their washing? Have they been able to cook meals? Have they been able to do that stuff? And to be able to step in and be that person. And I think this is the thing too, like when an adult dies or something like that, people show up for that. They'll bring dinners, they'll do stuff for the person, they'll send flowers, they'll send cards. It doesn't happen like that for pregnancy loss. You don't get the people showing up the way that they would if it was an adult. But I think we do need that. We need that across the board. If someone has lost a love, regardless, they loved that baby regardless. We need to be able to go, okay, I don't know what you need. Can you tell me how I can show up for you? Or would you just like to sit and then not say anything, not try to fix the silence?
I also think we need to do a whole lot more for the partners. So if this is from the LGBTQ community, or if it is a husband, we do need to do more, because it's also very hard. Again, I can only imagine, but from what I've seen with my husband also, we would grieve the loss differently.
Yeah.
And it's, I think, very hard, not only I think as a partner, to see your partner go through IVF and the injections. And I must admit, we didn't have any hormonal huge things here in our relationship. So it wasn't as if I was super emotional or hormonal or anything like that. I think you hear other stories that are a whole lot more, yeah, challenging. So we went through it quite all right. But I think when the loss happened, not just the first one, but then the second one, it was really tough. And I think it's also, everybody focuses on the woman, and not too much is then with the partners. So that's another area where we really think of, yeah, where I think we need to support more, and we need to give them also maybe support groups or avenues to chat to others who are going through it together, because it's so hard to see your partner in pain. Seeing them go through even just the IVF process, and then again it's negative, again it's negative. Just that in itself, that you wish you could do more, but you can't. And it's really tough as well. So not to ever underestimate what partners go through, or if they want to have time off to be there with the partner. Yeah, I think that those would all be things that would be so amazing if people could actually be more compassionate towards them as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've had so many conversations with that in mind. There are slowly men's communities popping up to help them go through these things. I interviewed one
Yeah,
guy on the podcast.
I've seen it. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. He created a football team of lost dads. There are slowly, I think what happens with men is that stigma of I have to look okay. Not every man is going to put on that face, but from what I've spoken to, including my husband, they feel like they have to hold it all together because they can see everything falling apart. And they're like, they try to step in and they try to control what they can. Feel like,
Sometimes too hard, and then it creates more friction. Yeah.
yes, there was a lot of fights in our household at that point. And a lot of misunderstanding as well. I've said this before in other things that I've done. I think the assumption that the other person is or should be on the same grieving path is what can break a lot of communication down, because then you're like, I feel like you should be crying because I'm crying. I feel like you should be feeling this because I'm feeling this, but it's not necessarily the case. And they have lost their vision too. One in 4 pregnancies will result in miscarriage. 1 in 8 women will experience infertility. 1 in 100 women will experience recurrent miscarriage. And 1 in 160 births end in stillbirth. Have you been wanting to make a difference in the lives of women or men who have experienced pregnancy loss because you can see so many suffering in silence, but you just don't know how? Collectively, we can change how bereaved parents can access mental, physical, and emotional support after their experience. There is a lot of women with unhealed trauma, and there is a huge gap in the current support system when it comes to bereaved parents' recovery after loss. There are too many women and men suffering in silence. The Pregnancy Loss Practitioner Certification is a worldwide, one-of-a-kind program that gives you proven methods designed for healthcare professionals, medical staff, midwives, nurses, doulas, birth workers, coaches, and angel parents alike. The Pregnancy Loss Practitioner Certification is bridging that gap. It will give you a proven support structure to follow and education specific to pregnancy loss, created by a loss mum. It is creating more education specifically for loss so that you can enhance your service and become the point of difference. Or you can create the support that you so desperately needed in your healing after loss. This is the next level of growth and expansion you have been searching for. So does this sound like something that you have been searching for? Let's explore this more together. You can head to the episode show notes where you'll find the program application, or direct message me on Instagram and let's open up the conversation in how you can use this education. You have a gift, and I look forward to supporting you and witnessing you bring your gift to the world, healing and transforming women's lives. We have a completely different relationship to the pregnancy. Obviously, it's our body, it's what we're going through physically, emotionally, like we feel it all. The men are watching it all happen, and they have a vision, they have their future that they've envisioned for themselves and a family as well. And then to see that all unravel, however it does, even thinking back to the way that I was with my husband, because I was rushed to hospital, he had to be there with me. I was having contractions, but I didn't know that's what it was until I was at the hospital. Just he sat with me the whole time, and it wasn't until after the experience that I'm like, he witnessed all of that. I was going through it, but he watched it. And that in itself, like, we do need to acknowledge what they've gone through and how they've been able to show up in that time, and give them space, safe spaces, a permission to feel what they need to feel.
Yeah, and even among every partner, it's different. Just like
Yeah.
we experience miscarriages or stillborn or losses differently, it's also for the partners. Everybody got, just because we know one person who went through it like this doesn't mean the next one is the same.
Yeah, absolutely. And it wasn't until I think 6 months after, 6 months into my subsequent pregnancy, I think, with our rainbow, that he opened up how scared he was. And I was like, I didn't know, because he'd never once voiced it. He was just always there. He was like my constant. He was always there. He was trying to steer me in the right direction, lovingly, which did cause a lot of friction, because I was like, stop telling me what to do. But we do need to have more available for the men. And I agree, having a broader support for them that includes them, and being able to allow them to step into that without any judgment, and without any preconceived ideas of this is what you should be doing and this is how you should be showing up. You're just like giving them the safe space to go, you know what, you can fall apart here if you need to, or you can just sit in silence or do whatever. But absolutely, I agree with you.
Yeah. It is a tough time any which way you look at it. It's never going to be an easy process. But I also think that every challenge in life really makes us more compassionate, makes us more empathetic, hopefully also more grateful for the good things in life and for what we do have, that we look at that rather than always looking at what we don't have. So I think that is a big part of it as well.
Yeah. And these moments can bring you closer if you allow them to, if you're willing to work together, which can deepen your relationship. It can grow and like grow your relationship to the next level because you experience these together and you get this deeper, like you said, a deeper appreciation, a deeper love. And then you know that if any other challenge comes up, that you have each other's back. You can navigate it because you navigated that.
And if you don't, you also realize that, oh, this is really, we are on different pages here and we just don't know how to connect. That you have the courage to actually say, hey, we need help.
Yeah.
Let's have an outsider here and just guide us, because it doesn't mean that we love each other less. We're just both struggling and we're just really triggering each other. And we need to have a way to hear each other on a different level with somebody mediating and just giving a chance to actually really listen, because
Yeah.
we're overwhelmed with our own grief that we don't say the right thing or we assume things or misunderstandings happen. And sometimes you do need a third person to just be in the middle and say, okay, now can you just say what's really on your heart without any filter? And then you do the same, and let's see here where the parallels are rather than the differences.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, like in anything, whether it's individually or as a couple, being able to put your hand up and say, look, we can't do this on our own. If it's just you as an individual to say, I need help, or if it's as a couple saying, we need help. My husband and I, we had to, because sometimes it is really hard to communicate when you're not taught how to communicate your emotions and all of the heavy stuff that's happening. And like you said, you can get caught up in our own feelings and our own grief, and we can often say things that maybe aren't the right way to say it to really cut through and have these healthy conversations. So to be able to say, we need a third party, and often a session or a few sessions with them can really start to put you back onto the right path and give you the tools to keep communicating with each other, keep it open, because as soon as it shuts down, it's when you start to run into all those issues again. Absolutely. Being okay with, we need external support, and to know that's okay. It's not, there's no weaknesses there either. And it's like you said, you don't love each other less. It's now another realm of your relationship where you need to have some guidance.
Yeah, that's why I also love what you do. I think that's where your work also comes in, supporting and looking at the emotions that are attached to it. My background now, after having worked with so many kids, is what happens in your development in terms of your life experiences, how it impacts you. I've also learned how to help the brain heal, in the sense with the background of neuroscience. So for me, emotions is huge. That's why I also run the Louise Hay workshops. That's all emotionally based, because that's also what I've seen in the kids. If they are emotionally dysregulated, then they're struggling a whole lot more. And you can have three kids that come from the same background, and each one has experienced the experience differently on an emotional level. And that's exactly it. We need to work with the emotions. We need to see what emotion is attached to the experience, because for some it might be with the pregnancy loss, it might be, yes, the loss, definitely both. But if is it more sadness, or what is it? Is it more anger? Is it frustration? Is it, what is the emotion attached to it? And if you're not on the same level with the emotion, that's totally fine, but you need to work through the emotion. That's really the key to it all.
Yeah, it's foundational. I had done so much training and so much work before my miscarriage. And then when I had the miscarriage, I ended up investing into more coaching to help me process what was happening. And I think I spent like the first month just crying because I was moving through emotions. And I was like, I thought I had processed these, I thought I had dealt with these. But again, in the work that we do, we realize it's not just one and done. You don't just process an emotion and it's gone and it never comes back. There is so many different elements that emotion is attached to. So we continue to go through the process
And
of
the
processing.
experiences we've gone through, it's, yeah, it's not about forgetting or ticking the box and letting it go. It is an ongoing process and it
Yeah.
keeps popping up. Yeah, sorry,
Okay.
didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, it's
That's
exactly, yeah.
exactly it. It's ongoing, and you will have moments where you still years later maybe shed a tear or sit for a moment and really, yeah, and that's okay. And we need
Yeah.
to let these emotions out as well, but we also need to learn how to handle them so that they don't knock us over
Yeah.
completely. And then again, also to put our hand up and say, hey, I'm struggling here. I need
Yeah.
some support.
Yeah. And a lot of the time, we're not taught as kids how to process emotions, or we're not even as taught as adults how to process and communicate them. And there was even a moment where I realized that now through my work, I was like, that's what it was, because our body holds like the memories. So I went through
Mm.
grief almost to the day, went through a whole, like my whole body went through this whole grieving process again. And I'm like, I didn't know what was happening to me. I was like, I couldn't control what was coming up. And then I looked at the date and I was like, oh my gosh, it was a year to the date that I had lost, I'd had the miscarriage. And I couldn't pinpoint a trigger like on the outside that put me into that spiral. It was just that my body knew. And even like I said before we started recording, my dad died when I was 19. For the most part, I'm okay. I can talk about him, I can remember him, I can whatever. But then there's moments where I just completely break down and grieve again. And it's, I don't even know how long it was ago, 20 plus years. There is no timeline. And I think this is where we also get caught up with losses, with reproductive loss. People just assume, especially with early losses, and they don't have a physical baby, like you should be over it by now. I've seen people say, it's been a week, it's been 2 weeks, you should be fine. And I'm like,
Mm.
for someone else, maybe, yes, I'm not okay. So to just know that your timeline can be that you don't move through it that quickly, or you do, and that's okay. But to give yourself the grace of grieving, and you're allowed to grieve. I've had women say to me, I don't feel like I'm allowed to grieve because the pregnancy wasn't far along. You're absolutely
That's
allowed to
not
feel
true.
that.
Yeah, of
Yeah.
course. And we need to, because if we don't process the emotions and we don't allow ourselves to actually grieve the way our body needs to grieve, then we're just holding on to more stuff that doesn't serve us whatsoever.
No, and it literally doesn't go away. Your body just
Mm.
holds it and just
Yeah.
keeps compounding. And then all of a sudden, it's like this volcano that you've put a cap on continuously for maybe months or years. And then at some point, your body gives and it's, I can't do this anymore. And then it becomes like a big thing. Also, when you go into the whole how emotions are connect to our organs and stuff as well, there is a lot of dis-ease that you can cause in your body without processing the emotions. But yeah, it's a whole another conversation. But I wanted to ask, what were you able to do while fostering and grieving? Like there a crossover in a way of, okay, how can, and even in letting go of the children when they did get reunited with their families, was there like the grief from the loss that was intertwined with that, or were you able to help yourself with the loss? And was there any grief that was attached to the children?
Oh, look, definitely, yeah. We also had one girl, she came at the age of 1 week and she stayed with us for 13 months. So really, she didn't know anything else but us, really. And then she got reunited with grandma. And as much as my head was saying, well, that's a good thing, that's a success story, my body was like, wow, okay, I'm letting go of the little one that, yeah, she was such a big part of our lives for 13 months. And just knowing that, oh, I didn't need to carry any food or didn't need to wait for nap time to finish. And from one day to the next, just like they arrive from 1 minute to the next, and suddenly, have a different routine. It was also that when she left, it was tough. And each of us was dealing with it differently. So my husband just went really quiet. Our youngest daughter, she was like, okay, when is the next baby coming? And yeah, our daughter, the eldest, was also super quiet and she was really grieving the little one. And yeah, our son as well, but again, different. So we all went through it and we actually took a break from fostering. So we took a break from fostering for quite a while just to give everybody a bit of a moment to say, all right, so when we are ready, let's regroup and then we're ready. But right now, I think we all need some space and it was tough. And we are very lucky because we're actually still in touch with grandma, which is very unusual. And they come and visit us. She's now 11, the little girl. And yeah, she's always going to be a part of our lives and we are a part of her life still. So that is really, so we got the happy end that we could have not even dreamt of at that time. But yeah, it was tough. It was really tough when she left. But have I really intertwined it with the other loss? Probably in a certain way, just feeling that, yes, there was all this hope, expectations and things. And then, yeah, probably more than I would have thought of at that time. A loss is still a loss. So even though your head knows that it's the right thing to do, the body was struggling. Yeah. And if it was intertwined for my husband as much as it was for me, I don't know. Never really thought of it that way. But yeah, a loss is still a loss and it doesn't get any easier. We have kids and they leave and yeah, you're struggling for the first few days, months. It doesn't get easier. It doesn't matter how many kids we've had here. We just hope that we gave them something and that it's the right thing and also the right court decision to put them back and that they don't pop back into the system. That's where really we can only rely on the system because we have no input into it. So we are hoping that it is the right decision and it's the right thing for the child. And yes, here and there you do have doubts and you need to surrender and just say that you've done your best for the time that they were with us and you need to remain hopeful. Again, glass half full rather than half empty, because otherwise a lot of things would break you. So yeah, but on this note.
If anyone is considering this path of fostering, adoption, potentially after loss as well, they may have been like you and they may have already done it and know what's happening. But what would you say to someone who's potentially in that place of, okay, what is our next step coming out of potentially a loss and going into looking at that pathway?
First of all, allow yourself the time to grieve because there's no real point of just replacing something with something. You gotta have the time to grieve. Also, if your partner is not 100% with it, I can't say that mine was 100% gung-ho for fostering because he just didn't know enough about it. But to just go for the information sessions. Just here in New South Wales, we have over 50 fostering agencies. So just go for the information sessions. Don't overthink it. Just be open to things. Let's hear more about it. And when I talk to people who might be potential foster carers, I always think of planting a seed. So now I'll talk about it. Then next time maybe they see an ad. Next time they go for the information session. And no, they're not ready yet, but maybe in another 6 months after that, they say, you know what, now also. And I also think don't overthink. Like sometimes they call me because we're also emergency carers. So they call us and they say, hey, can we bring you a kid in 1 hour? And one time, literally, I was half asleep when they did, and I was like, yeah, okay. Then I hung up, and I was like, oh, tomorrow I need to do this, I need to do that. Oh my gosh. Yeah. And then I'm thinking, stop. Because if your sister would call and would say, hey, I have an emergency, can you take my kids? You'd also take the kids. Somehow it'll just work itself out. And it does. And the next day was actually a beautiful day where the girl just got integrated into our day. And it was all okay. It's like, I always think of things to just also really trust the process, that things, if they're meant to be, they will be. And if it was meant to be for us to go through tough times with a miscarriage or with a stillborn, then okay, it's all for a purpose. And if it meant that we look at the bigger picture, or I'm now advocating for the foster kids, so be it. There is a reason behind it all. And very often we don't see it at the time, and it's not great. And yes, life sucks, but it is what it is. And the more we then turn it into something that we can actually do something with it and become an advocate for these kids, or for what you do now, really getting the support going to help people with the support that you wish you would have had, then that's a good thing. Yeah, it's just sometimes we overthink things too long and too hard. We should just be open to it and give it a go.
Yeah, absolutely. We can very easily get caught up in our heads about it and think about all of the things that could go wrong. But if you become curious and shift your mindset to becoming curious, it opens the possibilities up so much.
Yeah,
And like you said, just explore it. It's not like you're locking anything in that moment.
exactly.
You're
Yeah,
just exploring the opportunity, educating yourself, bringing awareness to what's available to you. And like you said, you might not be ready in that moment. 6 months, a year down the line, maybe you will be, but you
yeah.
just
If
become
anybody
curious.
listening here actually works for an IVF company, because I've tried really hard to contact them and to actually say, look, I'm not here to take your clients, but for those who are actually unsuccessful, then please just tell them to contact me.
Mm.
And I don't need confidentiality wise, I don't need their details or whatever. I just send them, give them time to grieve, 6 months, 12 months, and then send a note out and say, hey, if you ever considered it, call this lady and she's happy to talk to you. So for me, that would be already an ideal situation, because here you have thousands and thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions of people worldwide who would love to have children in their homes. And then we have, again, hundreds of thousands, if not millions, kids that need a home. I just don't understand how we cannot put the two together. Yes, it's not for everybody, but for those who are open to it and who say, yeah, you know what, as long as I can fill my home with kids and help them as long as I can, then brilliant. And like I say, if you're open for a permanent placement, the chances are eventually one cannot be reunited. It can be the first kid, and it can be the 10th kid, and it can be the 20th kid. But eventually there will be a child that needs a permanent home. Yeah, if we can spread the message to actually you really put these two together, that would be brilliant.
Yeah, yeah, especially like you said, and for your journey to get to the end of your IVF journey and you're like, I still want to have children in my home. I still want to experience that. This could be the option for you. So, absolutely having that awareness of what that path could look like. And also having someone they can touch base with, just to even talk about it further, which they could touch base with you and just open up the communication and have a chat and just say, look, these are my questions, these are my concerns, and just have someone who has been in their shoes to be able to walk with them.
Yeah. Hey, any of your listeners who want to have a chat, please let them connect.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. So, in saying that, do you want to share a little bit about, or share your places that people can find you? Just had a total. English
Yeah.
moment.
So, yeah, if you look me up on Facebook, there's Irina Castellano. Then also I am on LinkedIn, Irina Castellano. And then on Instagram, which is not as used, it's Irina Sit, so SYD as an abbreviation. So IRINA SYD, IRINA SYD, and that's my Instagram account. So I even have 4-week programs to really, if anybody's interested, to have 4 weeks one-on-one with me to really ask all the questions and even to learn more about fostering before they even do an information session, and just to be able to ask any questions they could possibly have before they go into it so they can make an informed decision. But even if it's just a quick chat to see, hey, yeah, this is something that I would like to, where do I start? Then happy to do that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Like you said, you've got support programs available to them. There is the opportunity for just a chat too. I will link all of your contact details in the show notes.
Great,
Um,
okay.
Also your email. So if they want to
Mhm.
connect with you via email as well, that'll all be there. Is there anything else you wanted to leave the listeners with before we wrap up?
Oh, if they want to work through emotions, then I also run the licensed Louise Hay workshops. So the next one is in February, 7th and 8th of February in Sydney in person. It's 2 super intense days. And what it really does is that we work through, we don't need to know, that's what I love about it. I don't need to know the nitty-gritty details of people's experiences. So it's not about sharing your story. It's about understanding which emotion is attached to the story and then working through the emotions. And it's transformational. So really, if you want changes in your life, then start the healing from within, because as you said, the body holds the score.
Yeah.
And it is all connected, mind, body, spirit. So we need to shift our mindset to actually then improve our body as well. So this is what it's all about, letting go of emotions that don't serve you. So I would love if I can even send you the new flyer, and if you can, that would be brilliant. If not, people can contact me, and then I'm happy to send through the details. That would be phenomenal. Thank you.
That's okay. So yeah, I can absolutely, if you want to send through a flyer, I can attach that to the material that I use for your episodes. Yeah. In like we've spoken about in the podcast, it's foundational to be able to move through your experience. We have to first go through our emotions. And as much as you think you've done it, like I thought I had, there was still so much that I had to uncover and process and move through before it felt like it had actually been witnessed to completion. There was so much that I was still storing because I hadn't fully been able to process that. And then you get these tools for a lifetime. Every time you get an emotion, every time you come up against a challenge, you can then draw back on these tools and know that no matter what, you have these in your toolkit now to be able to process and move through the emotions that come with these challenges.
Absolutely.
So I love that you're hosting this event. So thank you for sharing that. And yeah, I'll pop all of the details for that as well in the show notes. Like I said, send through the flyer and I'll pop that with all of the stuff that I'm going to post on socials as well. But yeah, I just want to really thank you for sharing everything that you have today, for being open and sharing your story about loss, sharing your experiences with fostering and adopting the children, and opening up the possibility for others that might be exploring what else can I do? What's next?
Thank you, Shana, for giving me this platform to do. And yeah, the more we talk about it, the better it will be for all of us, because we have a whole lot more in common than we think. And we just sometimes need to, yeah, put it out there to actually understand how many people have gone through what we have gone through.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And like we've spoken about before, I think before we started recording, sometimes the surface, what you're on the outside, you think people have got it fine and whatever. And when you actually talk to them about their experience, about what has got them to where they are in that moment that you're seeing, we do have a lot more in common with people than we realize. It's just that we need to have these conversations to really open that up. And that's what we're doing here today. It's everything that I'm all for, being able to open the conversation, reduce the stigma around these conversations as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So thank you very much for this opportunity. Really loved it. Thank you. You were so easy to talk to.
Oh, thank you. And yourself as well. And like I said, thank you so much for sharing everything that you did. I know that it's going to help someone in where they are right now.
Yes, I believe that too.
Thank you again so much, Irina, for being a part of the What I Wish I Knew Beyond Pregnancy Loss podcast.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Shanna.
Thank you to all that have listened in. If this episode was valuable to you, I invite you to leave a review on Apple Podcasts, and I look forward to supporting you on the next episode. Thank you for listening in with me today. I hope you found this episode helpful. If you did, I would absolutely love to hear from you. Take a screenshot of this episode, share it to social media, and tag me at Institute of Healing_PL. I love seeing what is resonating with you right now. If you want to chat further, I invite you to connect with me through Instagram. Head over and follow my Instagram account, send me a DM, and let's open the communication. If you want to know more about how you can be the support for others, head to the show notes and fill out the application form for the Pregnancy Loss Practitioner certification. I want to also note here that what I share within the episodes is not medical advice. If you need further support, please consult your doctor. Thank you again. Much love to you. Be gentle with yourself, and I look forward to supporting you on the next episode.